If you want to understand why your blood sugar keeps pulling out from under you, do not look at the candy sitting on your counter and do not blame a slow metabolism. Look at 5 signals your body has been sending for months, maybe years, signals that your cells have quietly stopped responding to insulin. Left unaddressed, those signals will drain your energy, cloud your thinking, and take your mornings from you. I am so glad you are here. What I am going to share today could change the quality of your days or the days of someone you love. Insulin resistance affects tens of millions of adults over 60, and most of them will never hear about these signs from their doctor. Not because the doctor is withholding anything, but because the appointment runs short, the guidelines lean toward prescriptions, and the old knowledge, the kind rooted in kitchens and herb gardens, never made it into the medical pamphlet. Today, it comes to you. Stay with me through the very end because what we cover last is the most important of all. My name is Camilla Hayes. For over 35 years, I have practiced traditional herbalism in the foothills of South Carolina, carrying the plant wisdom passed down from my grandmother and her mother before her. 4 generations of Gullah-rooted root work. I have sat with over 12,000 women, most of them past 60. What drew me to this calling is something my grandmother said from her kitchen chair: when the belly is troubled, the whole body will follow. That truth, lived across generations of women in our lineage, is what the researchers are now beginning to measure. Your gut shapes your immune response, your hormone balance, your inflammation levels, and the quality of your sleep. The root guides the branch. The women in our tradition and the generations before them rarely spoke of what we now call insulin resistance. They ate close to the land, moved through purposeful days, and lived long. When they did speak of blood sugar trouble, they called it thick blood, and they had remedies for it. Across 4 generations of women I have watched and learned from, the signs we are about to name were recognized, addressed, and turned around long before they had the chance to deepen into something harder to correct. One of these 5 signs is going to surprise you, dear one. 9 out of 10 women I sit with have never connected it to blood sugar at all. I also want you to know that the order here matters. Each sign builds on what comes before. Stay through to the end because the final sign carries the most weight, and the remedy that comes with it is the one I return to before all others. Before we go further, I'm asking you to do one thing. Leave a comment below this video. Tell me your age and tell me which of these signs you have been living with. I read every single comment on this channel, and your answers shape every video that comes after this one. Your experience is not just welcome here, it is needed. In this video, I am going to show you the belly fat that holds on no matter how carefully you eat. The exhaustion that follows every meal like a shadow. The skin change most women mistake for aging. The craving that arrives with the force of a command, not a preference. And the quiet fog settling over your mornings, the sign most deeply connected to everything else on this list. And the remedy from our tradition that I reach for before all others. One small thing before we begin. If you are watching and you have not yet subscribed to this channel, would you take 2 seconds and do that now? It is free, dear one. And when you do, it helps me reach more women over 60 who are searching for exactly what you just found. That is the whole reason this work lives here. Number 5 is the fat that settles around your midsection and will not move, even when you eat carefully and walk every day. The body has been overwhelmed. What our tradition calls thick blood and what science now calls hyperinsulinemia means the pancreas is producing more insulin than the cells will accept. Picture a mail carrier who delivers the same package to the same door every single day, and the door is never answered. The packages pile up outside. That is glucose accumulating around the middle. After 60, the cells become less responsive with each passing year, and this pattern deepens quietly without fanfare. The remedy my grandmother's people relied on for this was bitter greens, collards, and dandelion leaf eaten at least once a day. Add half a teaspoon of cinnamon to your morning tea or oatmeal, and walk for 10 minutes after your largest meal, not before. That short walk allows your muscles to pull glucose in directly, which eases the demand on your pancreas and begins to shift this pattern over time. Sign 4 comes next. It arrives on schedule every single meal. Number 4 is the heaviness that settles over you after eating. What should feel like fuel instead feels like a weight behind your eyes and across your chest. What our tradition recognized as blood working too hard for too little, researchers now call postprandial fatigue. When cells resist insulin, glucose stays in the blood rather than reaching the cells that need it. The body labors twice as hard and produces half the energy. Many clients accept this as a natural fact of growing older. The body is sending a message and it deserves to be heard. Dorothy was 68, a retired school teacher from Chattanooga, Tennessee. She had not had an energized afternoon in 4 years. What had been overlooked was the blood sugar crash following her midday meal. After 6 weeks of adding fenugreek seeds to her soups, eating a small handful of raw walnuts before her largest meal, and pulling white bread from her mornings, Dorothy recorded her afternoon energy at more than 50% higher than when we first sat together. She told me, "Camilla, my afternoons have come back to me." The practical fix: 1 teaspoon of fenugreek seeds in your soups or stews, a small handful of raw walnuts before your biggest meal of the day. And if you can arrange it, eat your largest meal at midday rather than after dark. Sign 3 comes next. This one you can see. Number 3 is a darkening of the skin, gradual and velvety, appearing at the back of the neck, the armpits, or the inner elbows. The scientific term is acanthosis nigricans, driven by chronically high insulin-pressing skin cells to multiply and deepen in color. My grandmother called this the body printing its message in the only ink it had left. In our tradition, the appearance of these marks was a firm call to change the way a woman was eating, not eventually, but now. Here is something I want you to understand because it connects to everything on this list. After 60, the living community in the gut drops sharply in number and variety. When people reach for a probiotic alone, without prebiotic fiber and without postbiotics, the actual healing compounds the bacteria produce, the repair cannot complete. Think of it as a garden. The probiotic is the seed, the prebiotic is the rich soil, and the postbiotic is the harvest the body actually uses. Without all 3 working together, you are farming on stone. The remedy for sign 3, 1 tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar in warm water before your first meal each day, and a meaningful reduction in refined flour. The skin is an honest reporter on what is happening inside. Sign 2 comes next. It does not feel like biology, but it is. Number 2 is the craving that arrives without warning. An hour after eating, your body begins pulling you towards sugar with a force that feels chemical because it is. When cells resist insulin, the glucose already in your blood cannot reach where it is needed. The brain reads that as starvation and sends a distress signal. More sugar now. Reaching for sweetness in that moment is the body asking for help. Willpower was never the right tool for this kind of signal. The practical fix: 1 tablespoon of ground flax seeds stirred into a glass of water before your first meal, a handful of fresh berries in place of juice, a cup of bitter lemon tea or plain green tea after your evening meal. These slow the climb of blood sugar after eating and quiet that urgent signal over time. Consistency here matters far more than perfection. The most important sign is still ahead. This is the one I have carried the longest. I want to pause here because the question my clients ask most often is this: "Camilla, what do you personally use to support your own gut?" I have landed on BoochBod, a kombucha gummy, berry flavored, not a pill. It carries the 3 parts the gut needs: prebiotic fiber, a studied probiotic called lactospore, and a postbiotic called postbiotics LM1004, along with dandelion root and slippery elm plants the root workers in our Carolina foothills have relied on for generations. Over 30,000 people use it daily. The link is in the description below, and please speak to your doctor before starting any supplement. Now, sign number 1 is waiting, and now we arrive at the sign that carries more weight than any other. This is the one I have saved for last. Number 1 is the fog, the slow morning where a name you have known for 30 years hovers just out of reach, the mid-sentence pause where the word will not come. The feeling that your mind, which has carried you through a long and full life, is now working through something thick. Here is what is happening inside. The brain is the most fuel-hungry organ the body holds. When insulin resistance is at work, The brain cannot pull glucose in with the ease it once had. The neurons that need fuel to fire begin to misfire. Our tradition called this the blood no longer feeding the thought. What the healers in our lineage observed across generations, the researchers studying this pattern now describe as a form of metabolic insufficiency in the brain itself. The tradition saw it first. The remedy begins with cinnamon, half a teaspoon in warm water or tea every morning, used across our lineage for generations to support the way the body responds to blood sugar. Add a daily handful of raw walnuts, which carry the kind of nourishing fat the brain most depends on for clear signaling. Brew bitter melon as a tea or cook it into your evening meal to support how the cells receive glucose throughout the day. And please speak to your doctor about your blood sugar numbers before making any changes to your diet or your medications. Remove white flour from your morning meal entirely. Feed the brain what it can actually use. Francis was 73, a former music teacher from Burlington, Vermont, who had been struggling with word finding for nearly 2 years. What had been overlooked was her pattern of high carbohydrate breakfasts followed by long stretches without food, a cycle that repeatedly drove her blood sugar too high and then let it fall too low. After 8 weeks of following the morning protocol, Frances estimated her word retrieval had improved by nearly 70%. She told me, "Camilla, I feel like I got my sentences back. That is what every sign on this list is pointing toward. A mind and a body that can meet the morning on their own terms." After 35 years of watching what actually works over time, here are 3 things I want you to carry with you. 1. Timing matters more than amount. Flaxseed or walnuts taken before a meal do more for your blood sugar than a larger serving taken after. 2. Bitterness is your ally. If something tastes bitter, it is almost always working to help your cells respond more readily to blood sugar. Lean into that. 3. Walk after the meal, not before. The 10 minutes following eating is when your muscles are most ready to pull glucose in directly, and it costs you nothing. Mistake 1. Reaching for fruit juice instead of whole fruit. Juice removes the fiber that slows the blood sugar rise. The sugar arrives too fast and too much all at once, and the craving returns before the hour is out. Mistake 2. Eating too little. Many women over 60 who are working to address blood sugar eat so little that the body enters a stress response, which raises cortisol, which raises blood sugar. Eat enough. Just eat differently. Mistake 3, skipping the walk after meals. Movement is not separate from blood sugar management. For bodies past 60, it may be the most direct tool available and the most underused. We have covered a great deal today, my friend, and I want you to hold something close before you go. What we talked about today is not about numbers on a lab report. It is about your mornings, the ones where you rise with a clear head and enough to give, the ones where your grandchildren call and you are fully present to hear them, the ones where your body feels like something that carries you forward rather than something you have to manage. It is never too late. The body you are living in right now, at 70, at 75, at 80, still holds the capacity to respond, to shift, and to find its ease again. You are the one who tends this garden. Let me lock this in for you. Number 5, belly fat that holds at the midsection, addressed with bitter greens, cinnamon, and a 10-minute walk after meals. Number 4, fatigue after eating, addressed with fenugreek seeds and raw walnuts taken before meals. Number 3, dark patches on the skin, addressed with raw apple cider vinegar each morning and a reduction in refined flour. Number 2, sudden sugar cravings, addressed with ground flaxseed, whole berries, and bitter tea in the evening. Number 1, the fog, the deepest sign, addressed with cinnamon each morning, raw walnuts daily, bitter melon at dinner, and a morning meal free of white flour and refined sugar. If this helped you today, would you do 2 things? Subscribe to this channel so the next video finds you, and share this with a sister, a spouse, an old friend who has been carrying these same signs without a name for them. Leave a comment and tell me which sign surprised you most, or which one you are starting with first. I read every single comment on this channel, and I will be back there to read yours. And whenever you are ready, the link for BoochBod is waiting in the description below. There is no rush. It will be there. I will see you in the next one, dear one.